Do you want to come up? Hello, my girl. I think she's just interested in what I'm doing. Pinks, who's this? Oh, she can see herself in the mirror over there. Pinks, go downstairs, it's a lot cooler. You know what, the past few days Pinky's actually become quite clingy, which makes me think I'm like, is something happening? Because genuinely this whole pregnancy she's been oblivious. Apart from the first week when I thought she sensed something and that's why I took a pregnancy test, since then she is completely oblivious. Right, come on Pinks, it's too hot up here, let's go downstairs, come on. Let's do this, wish me luck. It is very hot today. I've not done a kind of baby update video in a couple of months on this channel. You know what, actually, I don't know which video is going to go first because I'm going to do a finished nursery tour and kind of like third trimester summary, and then this is the specific pregnancy Q&A which you guys asked for questions on my previous video. But then I think I'm going to do a roundup of like general symptoms and like a week by week, well it was less kind of week by week in the third trimester, but just like my overall experience, and then obviously like all the finished nursery stuff. Because it's not quite finished, we're getting some shelves put up here. Once that job is done, this nursery is complete. As you can see, we did get a new sofa bed, a little single one, which it is going to be turned round this way, but I just thought while I'm filming I would face it this way because I've got the light from the window. So this is the cot. We did get a cot bed, but obviously he's not going to be in that for a while anyway, because we've got the snooze pod which is going to go in our bedroom, which is like a next to me crib. But yeah, you might have seen that already. If you haven't seen that yet, it will be coming soon. So I am now very close to giving birth, hopefully not during this video. By the way, if I start sweating in this, it's because it is so hot at the moment, but I can't really sit in here with a fan because it will be really noisy. Also, I want to say thank you for some of the advice on my previous video as well, because a bunch of people had left things that helped them with their pregnancy, so I really appreciate that. Somebody has said, my advice for Pinky is once you have the baby in hospital, get James to bring baby's blanket or hat home, basically something that has the baby's scent, and put it in Pinky's sleeping place so she can smell the baby before the baby comes home, which that is a very clever idea. And also actually I'll go into this a little bit more later, but we did some like baby classes and they touched on a bit about how to introduce your dog to the baby and stuff, which was really helpful. But yeah, honestly I think she's pretty oblivious that I'm pregnant. How does she not know? Like And speaking of Pinky, we've used Tails for I think coming up 4 years now, pretty much since we got her. Wait, we've had her for 5 years. We got her in 2020 and we started using tails.com pretty soon after we got her, I'm pretty sure. It's been years and we have not switched since then. My discount code is just soph. I will put it on the screen, I'll put it down below, and that gets you 1 month of free kibble, and you get 50% off wet food and treats and £2 delivery as well. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, I will link it down below. Pinky loves it. We love it because it's very convenient and our dog food just shows up on the doorstep. And especially with being heavily pregnant and having a baby, we don't even have to think about going to the supermarket and picking up heavy bags and boxes of dog food because our dog food is just delivered, which is very handy. And as you can see, the food comes with her name on it because this is a blend of kibble that is tailored to her needs, and it tells you exactly how much to feed her. It comes with a scoop, and then she also does have the wet food as well, but I think you can just select dry food, where there's loads of different variety. We've got ones with gravy, terrine, pate. There's different types of meats and vegetables and rice. I'm reading off of all of this. Is it time for breakfast? Is it time for breakfast? Are you hungry? And also because everything is portion controlled, we know exactly how much we're giving her, and that helps to maintain her weight. And whether your dog wants to lose a little bit of weight or gain a little bit of weight, or if you want to just maintain their weight, you can input that all into their website. You kind of like fill out a form and you put in all the information about your dog, so what breed they are, how much they weigh, how old they are, how active your dog is, whether they're really lazy or they have a super active lifestyle, and if they have any particular health conditions. And then their team goes away and puts together a kibble blend that is kind of tailored to your dog and has all the nutrients that they need, which is very handy because obviously I don't know anything about that. I'd rather leave it to the professionals. Also, if you want to, you can add treats and chews onto your subscription, and they have an empty bowl guarantee, so if your dog is not licking the bowl clean, they will put together a new blend of kibble for free, which that sounds like a pretty good deal to me. So if any of you have a dog and you want to use my discount code, it is just soph. I will leave the links in the description box. I'm so sorry if you can hear a fan in the background slightly. I'm gonna have to have it on because it's so incredibly hot. So another question is, did you watch Jazz's labour and birth vlogs? I would love to see a video of you and James reacting to her videos. Yes, I did. I have watched all of Jazz's vlogs. I have been keeping up to date with Jazz and everything baby related. If you didn't know, Jazz is one of my friends who is also a YouTuber, and she actually filmed loads of her labour and delivery and postpartum stuff and stuff with the baby, so it's been very helpful. And honestly, like, her videos were great because they showed a very real perspective of what it can be like as a first-time parent. And so if anyone else wants to see that kind of content, I highly recommend her channel. It's just called Jazzy Vlogs. But yes, I did watch them and it was nice to see like a slice of reality. I've also been talking to Jazz a lot throughout this process, which has been nice. Jazz was pregnant for a lot of the same time as me, and also my friend Talia as well is also pregnant literally at the exact same time as me. We actually have a little like mum group chat where we've just been like sharing everything baby related, which has been so incredibly helpful because I'm the first out of my friend group to have a baby, so I've not really got many people to ask about it. Big up Jazz and Talia, they have been lifesavers during this time. Somebody else said I'm pregnant with our first little boy due in July. Congratulations, me too. Have you packed your hospital bag yet? I'm really struggling to know what to take. My hospital bag is still not fully packed, and you know what, I'm such a last minute person. I am going to do it this week, but my mum said to me the other day when she came down, bearing in mind my mum is the most organised person ever and she normally will pack for stuff way in advance. I don't know how I'm so different to her, but I am the least organised person ever. I am terrible for packing. Like if I'm going on holiday, I will literally be packing up until like a few hours before we have to leave for the airport. I'm pretty sure the last time we went on holiday, I finished my packing an hour before we had to leave for the airport, and we were leaving at like 3 in the morning, so. And my mum said to me the other day, she was like, oh, to be fair, you could just pack while you're in labour. I was like, Mum, that's the worst thing you could say to me because now I'm not going to pack until I'm in labour. And then if I have a quick labour, I'm going to be stressed. So I'm like, no, you know what? I need to do it before then. But in terms of what to take, I had a look on the NHS website and I copied and pasted that list into my notes on my phone. And I also looked at a few different lists online. Some of them were American, so they were a little bit different to what we might need over here, and stuff was like different names that confused me a bit. But in terms of everything that we need for the baby, and also things that we need to buy for the baby, not even necessarily like in hospital, I looked on the NHS website and I also looked at different people's videos on TikTok, and also I just typed in like baby list on Google and hospital bag list on Google, and it comes up with a bunch of different ones, and I kind of just like pulled things from different lists to make my own list in my notes app. But obviously like in the UK you mostly just need what's on the NHS website. And for my hospital bag, I've been packing stuff, like I'm mostly done. No, I'm not. I've done like most of mine. I still need to pack all the stuff for the baby, but I've been packing stuff into packing cubes, which is so helpful. And then I'm hopefully going to go through it and label my packing cubes with some just like stickers. I got some sticky labels that I'm hoping will stick onto them, because you can get some packing cubes that have little like inserts where you can put paper and you can write what's in them, which I wish I'd gone for those ones. Our packing cubes don't have those, so I'm going to write what's in each one and stick it on them, just so that when I'm in hospital, if I say to James, oh, can you grab me whatever, he's not like rummaging through everything. He can just take out a packing cube, read what's on it, and then find that thing, hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, I hope that helps. A lot of people said in my previous second trimester video, they said, because I'd mentioned that I was craving like crunching on ice, and a bunch of people said craving ice cubes is a symptom of iron deficiency. If you haven't already, I would have your iron checked. And funnily enough, I think it was the day, maybe the day before I posted that vlog, or the day that I posted that vlog, I was having a routine blood test anyway, and they checked my iron levels, and I think like the day after I posted the vlog, I had an update that my results had come in and I was actually iron deficient. And so the thing is though, I've always enjoyed eating ice cubes and like crunching on ice my whole life. Yeah, I am now iron deficient and taking supplements, but I appreciate you all looking out for me. Luckily I did have a routine blood test in anyway, so they would have found that out. But for sure, if you're craving ice cubes, maybe get that checked. Somebody else has said, do you hope to breastfeed? If so, make sure you read up about it. I'm sat here feeding my 4-month-old and wish the same happiness on you. First of all, congratulations on your 4-month-old. There's quite a lot more to it than I thought. So glad I was well informed before. I am planning to breastfeed for sure. I did an NHS class which was all about like feeding your baby, and unfortunately that one was kind of only focused on breastfeeding, and I posted on my Instagram stories that I was quite disappointed with it because it was like a 2.5-hour call about parenting and breastfeeding, and it was like a Zoom session kind of thing. I think they used to do them in person, but now a lot of them are over Zoom. The midwife was so against anything other than breastfeeding, and I was just thinking, like, if anyone was in that call and was unable to breastfeed for whatever reason, like there's so many reasons why people either choose not to breastfeed or literally physically can't breastfead. I was feeling so much shame at the fact that me and James were planning to combi feed, so we were planning to do a mixture of breastfeeding, bottle, like expressing milk, bottle feeding, and potentially even formula feeding, and like getting James involved, because I was a little bit worried about taking on the full mental load of being the sole feeder for the baby. So I have got an electric breast pump. I went for the Mum Cozy one. I got it on discount around Mother's Day. They had like 30% off, so I went for that one, which I've seen good things about. But yeah, I am planning to breastfeed and I'm gonna give it my best shot for sure. And I know that it does have a lot of benefits, and so I really am going to try my best with it. That is my plan. But obviously, you know, some people aren't able to breastfeed for whatever reason. I don't think they should feel shamed for that. So I was quite disappointed with the NHS class. And then in the classes that we actually paid for, they were just open to all types of feeding and basically said all you need is to feed your baby. Like, it doesn't matter whether that's via breastfeeding, formula feeding, bottle feeding, via pumping, like as long as your baby is fed. And you know what, Jazz said something to me because I was speaking to the girls about it. She said if you look at a class of school kids, you cannot pick out which one of those school kids has been breastfed or formula fed or bottle fed or anything, which is so true. I have no idea which ones of my friends were breastfed or bottle fed or formula fed or whatever. So, but long story short, I am gonna give breastfeeding a good go. Did you find the lack of anything happening between scans a bit lonely? I'm 17 weeks pregnant at the moment, and the wait for the 12-week scan to make sure baby was okay felt like forever. I feel like I can't fully answer this question because before the 12-week scan, because I was feeling quite anxious and like really wanted to make sure that everything was okay, especially because of HG that I had in the first trimester, slightly into the second with like the repeated sickness, and we'd booked an early private scan which I think we had at like 10 weeks maybe. But even like the wait until then, like you're just waiting around, it is definitely anxiety inducing for sure. But obviously that is not an option for everyone. And also I was gonna say the reason I can't fully kind of answer this question is because I was being monitored more closely because I was high risk of preeclampsia, so I've been having extra growth scans throughout anyway. I do understand how you feel about it though, like the wait between the scans, it feels like forever when you just want to check in and make sure that your baby's okay. But I would say like definitely if you're worried about anything, mention it to your maternity department and just they might be able to do a scan for some reassurance if there's anything going on that you're particularly worried about. So I do get that though, like it's crazy how we just have to wait around. I'm pretty sure in the US you have a scan at like 6 or 8 weeks or something. If anyone's from the US, can you let me know like when your scans are? Because in the UK I think we just get a 12-week, a 20-week and a 36-week, 34-week, 35. 36. Somebody else has said, I want to know if you're scared of losing yourself a little bit in the mother of identity, as it's often something I wonder when I have kids in the next couple of years probably. Good vibes for when baby comes. Thank you. Kind of yes and kind of no. I think the reason I say yes is because obviously that is a thing that a lot of people talk about, and so I'm like a little bit concerned about that. The reason why I say no is because I've spoken to my friends and I've said, when the baby comes, I said, please still talk to me like I'm still me, and please talk about any of your problems, like any mundane things. I don't want anyone thinking, oh, I can't talk about my problems or I can't talk about this particular thing because it's like, oh, you've got more on your plate because you've got a baby. It's like, no, I still want to know every small little problem you have, every piece of like drama, gossip that you've got going on at work, like all of the things. I want to still be kept in the loop, and I am still interested, and I'm still the same person that I was before with the same interests. And another reason why I say no is because I follow a fair few amount of people online that are mothers, but from what I can see, like them being a mum is not their whole kind of like personality, and they still make time for things that they enjoy and like activities and things that make them feel like them, and that gives me hope that I will hopefully be the same. I mean, obviously I'm sure we're gonna have a few months of like newborn life where there's not going to be much else going on, and maybe I'll change my mind on this and maybe I'm wrong, but I think just because you're having kids doesn't mean that you have to lose your whole previous life beforehand. But obviously I don't know because I've not had the baby yet, so we'll see. And also me and James have spoken about this in that we're happy to take care of the baby if the other one wants to go out and do something else and, you know, go out with their mates and have fun and have a good time, or like go to an event or something. Like, that is fine. Have you got a birth plan or done any courses in preparation? I do have a birth plan. Well, kinda. My birth plan is like, ideally, I said in my like notes and when I was speaking to my midwife, like ideally I would like to use the birthing centre at the hospital where it's like a much more chilled environment. I think they like have the lights down, it's got calming music, it's a much more peaceful environment. However, well, this will be in my update video about the 3rd trimester. I have since my 2nd trimester, I've been diagnosed with gestational diabetes, which I will go more into in the other video, but I'm diet controlled at the moment. I'm not on medication, and speaking to my midwives, they said if I'm still able to keep my blood sugars, like my blood glucose levels, under control and I don't have any further complications, then they would be happy for me to use the birth centre. But I said I do fully understand, like if I need to be closely monitored for whatever reason, then I'm happy to go into the regular labour ward. And I kind of just said that I'm happy to go with the flow. Like, my preference would be using the birth centre, but also equally if I'm not able to, that's also fine. Like, I just want to do what's best for me and what's best for the baby, and I've said I'm kind of open to anything. I think my plan at the moment is to go into it trying to manage the pain myself. Will I I be able to do that? Maybe not. And if I have to take the epidural, I will take the epidural. Like, I'm open to all different solutions, you know? So, and in terms of courses in preparation, like I said, we did a couple of like NHS ones, but there was literally like maybe 1 or 2. And then the ones that we found really helpful were, we did some free classes with a company called the Baby Academy, I think it's called. It just came up as an ad on Instagram and it said do a free baby class, and I thought, well, that must be some kind of scam. It's not a scam, and we did the free one and we found it so helpful that we booked the paid one at the end of it. And so we did 2 half-day sessions of these like paid online courses, and it was live with a midwife. You could ask questions. We did the half-day sessions, which I think were from like 9:30 till 1 o'clock. You can do like a full day session, but they teach you pretty much everything you need to know, and they do loads of good free ones as well. I did a free hypnobirthing one and it was so helpful. I think it was like an hour or like 2-hour free session about hypnobirthing, and I learned so much from that about giving birth and like the labour process and everything that I didn't know before. So I really recommend that particular company. Obviously there's loads of other ones that you can do. You can do in-person classes, but we found the Baby Academy ones really good, and I think for the 2 half days it was £99 with the discount, and we got the discount because we did one of the free classes, and at the end they give you like a discount code. Not sponsored or anything, literally like paid for, not gifted. They have no idea I'm speaking about this. We just really found it helpful. So, have you been using anything to prevent stretch marks at all? If so, can you recommend any products? Also, what SPF are you using? I read that a lot of them aren't safe in pregnancy, but struggling to figure out which one is good to use. All the best for your 3rd trimester and beyond. Thank you. So in terms of stretch marks, wait, let me go get it. So for the 1st trimester, I used up a whole tube of the La Roche-Posay Cicaplast. I know that stretch marks are quite often a genetic thing, and most of the time there's not really a whole lot you can do. However, from what I've researched, there are some specific ingredients. I think like Cica is one of the... Is it called Cica? There's some kind of ingredient that... Oh, why is it not written on here? Basically, whatever is in the La Roche-Posay Cicaplast, I saw a dermatologist talk about it, and they said that hyaluronic acid and Cicaplast is a really good thing to put on to like help with the stretch marks. But I don't, like I said, if you're gonna get stretch marks, you're probably gonna get stretch marks. That being said, I currently don't have any, and I did get them throughout puberty, like on my hips, my bum, my inner thighs. So I thought I would get some during pregnancy, but I haven't, so I don't know if this has contributed or not. But yeah, I used the La Roche-Posay Cicaplast. Then when I ran out of that, just after Christmas time, I used this Weleda Mum Stretch Mark Body Butter, which looks like this, and I've literally just finished that a couple days ago. Occasionally, just to moisturize, I've been using just Palmer's cocoa butter. And then literally like this week I have started using this, which is the My Little Cocoa Baby Mama Cocooning Bump Butter, which smells very nice. I don't think it has the same stuff in it as the other ones, but I thought because I had this anyway, I was actually gifted this in a set from Boots. They sent me over a few baby bits, which was really nice of them, and it just looks like this. I mean, obviously I can't particularly comment on which ones worked. And then for after I've had the baby, I'm going to use this one, which was also gifted from Boots, but I've not tried this one yet, so again, can't comment on that. My favourite was actually the La Roche-Posay one. With the Weleda one, it's quite heavily fragranced, and I feel like it's been like a little bit irritating. Occasionally I would get like little breakouts on my belly. But yeah, I've been using those, but obviously I can't really comment much about stretch marks because I could still potentially get them, but we'll see. And I think half the time they're genetic. But with the rest of my stretch marks that I got throughout puberty, like they've faded so much. Obviously when I first had them, they were a lot more like red and angry, like on my inner thighs and on my hips and my bum and stuff. But over the years they have really faded and they've gone more like white, and I don't mind them. Like, I'm like, it is what it is. So many people have stretch marks. So, oh, and in terms of SPF, and also just to touch on skincare quickly, I've been trying to use a lot of like hyaluronic acid products because that's supposed to be good. Vitamin C is a good one to use. Obviously you want to make sure that the main things that you're not using are retinols, retinoids, tretinoins. So I had to stop all of those, which I was so sad about because they do wonders for my skin. It's quite like subjective. There's so many, well, not subjective, is that the right word? Maybe that is the right word. There's so much information out there about what you can and can't use during pregnancy, and I think some people choose to go fully into that and like cut out anything that's got certain chemicals in. Some people are more like lax with it. There are some ingredients which will say, oh, they're not pregnancy safe, but then when you read more about them, it says dermatologists will say if it's in a low percentage, it's fine. I would say if you're thinking of using any skincare product, type in the product on Google and then type in pregnancy safe, and it usually will come up and it will tell you if it is pregnancy safe, or you can type out the particular ingredients and put is this pregnancy safe, and it will give you a summary of if that product is safe for pregnancy and if those ingredients are fine. But the SPF that I've been using a lot is the La Roche-Posay one, which I'm pretty sure on their website it said this is good for during pregnancy. Again, I could be wrong. This is like what I've personally chosen to do, and I know that other people have different preferences and different decisions with products throughout pregnancy, but I think most of the SPFs that I was using anyway, when I typed in on Google, it said yeah, they're fine for pregnancy, so I've just been using those, to be honest. I've just been making sure to avoid like high percentages of salicylic acid and obviously like retinols, retinoids and stuff. But I'd say if you are concerned about anything, just ask your midwife or your doctors. Once you have had the baby, if you feel comfortable, would you be keen on sharing your experience? Not something you can decide now, but I'd be curious to see how it goes for you. I study midwifery. Oh, that's cool. I might make a vlog on this channel about it, but I might not. Like, I don't know. I really don't know how I'm gonna feel, so I think on that one I'm just gonna have to wait and see sort of like how I'm feeling. What's the biggest surprise about your pregnancy, and what is something you're most excited for besides the little baby, obviously? I'm excited for all of my friends and family to meet him, and I'm excited to see my parents be grandparents, and I'm excited to see James be a dad, because I think he's gonna be the best dad. I'm actually excited to travel with baby boy, which I know some people will be like, what? You're gonna travel with a newborn? Like, we're planning to hopefully do some trips. Maybe I'll eat my words and maybe we won't, but yeah, I'm excited for everything, to be honest. My camera overheated and I overheated, so we went to take a break. What was I saying? I was saying I'm excited to see if he's gonna look like a little mini me or a little mini James. Would you ever do a video with James with names you like but won't be using? I love those kind of videos. I did a few of them on my main channel in a Q&A that I did. So if you look at my main channel, which is Soph Does Life, I spoke about some names that we like and won't be using on there. I know you picked a name, but how did you get inspired? Where did you go to get suggestions to find one that you like? Honestly, everywhere. We downloaded one app which was called Baby Name, and it's got a picture of like it's a yellow background with an egg, and it's basically like Tinder but for baby names, so you can swipe left and right on them, and you can sync it with your partner if they download it as well, and then when they're swiping through them it tells you if you get a match of like a name that you both like. We just looked online like for baby name lists, traditional baby names, unique baby names. If you just type those in, there's so many lists on Google, and also like videos on YouTube, videos on TikTok, and then just started making a list, really. How has it been being pregnant with Jazz? Have you been comparing experiences with each other? Has it been nice having support from one another? Yeah, I touched on this at the start, like having Jazz and also having Talia as well has been so nice to compare experiences. And obviously Jazz has had her lovely baby Hudson. She's spoken a lot about him and being a first-time mum over on her channel, and we've been speaking to her about it a lot, which has been so helpful, and it's been so nice to just see how everything's like gone and developed for her and Nick, and that's been really lovely. And then also like it's been so nice that me and Talia have had such similar experiences in pregnancy with like symptoms, and well, not like everything has been the same, but we've had a lot of similar feelings and symptoms about certain things, and so it's just been so nice to ask somebody that's at like pretty much the same point in pregnancy to be like, have you had this? Or like complain to somebody and then be like, same, instead of them being like, I can't relate. Would you and James film the birth strictly just for you two to look back on? Potentially, yes, but I don't think I'll film the actual like birth. But I've said to James I would love it if he could get some little like pictures and video clips throughout my labour experience just for us to have and look back on. I don't know, I might film bits and pieces of me in labour. I don't know if they will ever make it to the internet, but I kind of like, Jazz said that it was really nice to look back on because it all goes by in such a blur that you don't really remember. And you know how like people used to make home videos for themselves and their family before vlogging and posting on the internet was a thing? I'm kind of tempted to do that and like take bits of video footage just for us, but I don't think I want to film the actual like birth. Is James going to be with you in labour? Yes. Are you planning to give birth at home or hospital? At hospital. Do you have any pregnancy anxiety issues? You know what is so weird? I think I mentioned this in my previous video. I have had generalised anxiety disorder and death anxiety and social anxiety since I was a teenager, and as I've got older it's got a hell of a lot better, and I had CBT for it and that really helped. I had definitely got a lot better, but I was still like anxious, and I would especially get anxious around like my time of the month. I would occasionally have like panic attacks, only like every so often, but I would definitely find that I would get more anxious around my period time. But weirdly, during pregnancy I have been the least anxious that I think I've been in years, and I don't know if it's a hormonal thing. Fortunately, like I was thinking I'm gonna spiral and go into, you know, full anxiety mode, but weirdly I haven't, and I haven't really felt that anxious while I've been pregnant. The only time where I felt like anxious and low was during the first trimester when I was going through hyperemesis gravidarum with the constant like being sick and vomiting. Ow, baby just just kicked me down here. I don't know if you could see that on camera, but his foot is like literally right there. I can feel your foot, mate. But yeah, weirdly, I've been not as anxious as normal, which has been amazing. But yeah, I definitely would say like there were times during the first trimester where I was really, really low. I felt depressed, but I don't, like, obviously I can't diagnose myself with that, but I would just say I was having very, very low thoughts during the first trimester when I was so ill. But other than that, like, my mental health has been relatively good since that improved. So do you feel like you've matured during pregnancy? I feel like preparing to become a mother must change your mindset and outlook on things. Yeah, for sure. Like, in some ways, yes. And also in some ways, no. Sorry, I've got dog hair stuck to my face and I can't get it and it's really tickling me. Yeah, in some ways, yes, and in some ways, no. Like, for sure, I feel like I've had to mature a bit because obviously we're preparing to have a child, and I feel like I've had to get my life together a bit more. But also in some ways, no. Like, I still enjoy all the same things that I used to enjoy, and I still am like planning for things in the future that I will still enjoy, like booking concerts and stuff that I'm hoping I can go to. So not that that's a maturity thing, that's just like a living life thing. I still feel like how I was before. What are you more nervous about, labour and birth, or actually having a tiny adorable human to look after? I think having a tiny adorable human to look after, because I don't know that much about babies, to be honest. James knows a lot, I don't know much. Actually, does James know a lot? We both are kind of going into this a bit like not really knowing what we're doing, but we'll figure it out. We've done some courses. What surprised you the most about being pregnant that you weren't expecting? All the bloody symptoms. I know, like, there were things that I hadn't even heard of. I didn't even know that gestational diabetes was a thing. I didn't know what preeclampsia was, and obviously I was high risk for that. I didn't know how many different medical things there can be with it, and I feel like I thought like, oh yeah, I might get a bit of morning sickness, but I didn't think that I would end up having so many different symptoms thrown at me. And I feel like not a lot of people talk about those things. I've only seen so many people have like a positive, wonderful pregnancy experience. We're like, oh, it's the most magical time of your life, embrace it. And I'm just like, it's really hard to embrace it when you have like things that don't go to plan, and everyone being like, oh, enjoy every moment. I think a lot of people, they don't talk about the negative stuff, but if I'm being totally honest, I have not particularly enjoyed being pregnant. Like, I've had quite a rough time with it, and it's been quite tough. In terms of like mentally, I've been okay, but in terms of like just my body and like all of the things, like the sickness and the nausea and the tiredness and the being uncomfortable and not being able to sleep on your back and the gestational diabetes and the low iron and the feeling like exhausted and leg cramps and swelling and like, you know, there's so much that goes with it. And then the gestational diabetes that I didn't even know was a thing, and then having to like stop eating all of my favourite foods. Like, it's been quite a lot, if I'm honest, but obviously I'm so incredibly grateful to be pregnant. But I feel like not a lot of people talk about the fact that it's not always this magical, wonderful, amazing experience for everyone. Obviously that is not taking away from the fact that we are so lucky to be having a baby and so grateful to be pregnant and having a baby, but it's just, you know, some people make it out to be like, oh my god, it's amazing, that was the best time of my life. I would not say it's the best time of my life. It's been quite tough, and honestly I'm just ready to have this baby now, especially because it's so hot. Did your prenatals make you sick? What ones did you find worked best for you? I can barely choke down my gummies. I think they're making me sick. Oh my god, I feel you so much. I tried the Pregnacare ones at the start. They were definitely making me feel more sick, for sure. When I was going through all the sickness issues anyway, they said stop taking the Pregnacare because if that's making you feel more sick, like sometimes I would take one, and so then I just started taking these tiny little, I got them from a pharmacy, it was literally just folic acid, like the really small little tablets, and also the vitamin D, because I just could not stomach the giant prenatals with all the different vitamins. Obviously speak to a midwife about it. And then since my nausea got better, I then started taking the gummies because I was able to stomach those. The Pregnacare gummies, and there was another type of gummy that I was taking. Then actually for a lot of my third trimester, I was taking the Boots own brand prenatals, which were slightly more tolerable than the Pregnacare ones, but they were still like big tablets and not particularly nice, and they have like a horrible flavour, but because I'm not being sick anymore, I was able to stomach those. And then when I ran out of those, I thought, well, I may as well go back to some of the gummies that I stopped taking before. So I'm now taking the Pregnacare gummies and also liquid Spartone and the occasional ferrous sulfate iron tablets, but that's just because of the Spartone and the iron tablets are just because of the iron deficiency. But yeah, I'm taking the prenatal gummies at the moment. Is there any point where you start to find yourself struggling or feeling heavy? I'm 25 weeks and starting to struggle. Congratulations. I would say from about 26, 27, 28 weeks. And I noticed when we went on our baby moon, I think I was around 28 weeks. And at that point I noticed that I was starting to slow down, I was starting to need the toilet all the time, I was like really like struggling up and down hills. I definitely slowed down around that point, and like now I'm literally waddling along like a penguin, so that's fun. But I've been trying to walk more because of the gestational diabetes. Like I've been trying to walk as much as I can, which has definitely helped to kind of rebuild up my fitness. But yeah, it's a struggle. What site did you use for a registry for friends and family, and how did you know you had everything you may need on it? On my trying to conceive journey, and can use all the advice for hopefully soon to be mum. First of all, sending you all the luck and all the baby dust, and I hope everything goes to plan and goes well. In terms of a registry, you know what? I'm kind of silly because I saw my family back in like May, as in all my extended family, like aunts and uncles and everything. And back then everyone was like, oh, do you have a baby registry? Like, we'd love to get you some stuff for the baby. And I was like, what is a baby registry? Like, is that a thing we even do in the UK? Like, I had no idea that that was even a thing. And so I was like, oh no, we don't have one. And then since then I realised that actually most people I know that are pregnant have got a baby registry. And I signed up to the Amazon one just because with the Amazon one, if you add stuff to the registry and then you buy things through the registry, I think after 5 days of having a few items in there, you can get like discounts on stuff. And so I made one through Amazon, but now I'm like, well, I can't then message all my family like, hey, we made a baby registry. So most of the stuff we've just bought ourselves, to be honest, but the Amazon one is good because you can get 15% off certain products. So, but there's loads of different ones. I think John Lewis do one. There's only a few questions left. So, have you thought about baby wearing in a carrier or sling for dog walks, etc.? There's sling libraries all over the country, or some of them post out too, where you can try out the best one to suit you and make sure it's safely fitted. What? I found them a lifesaver when going on long walks or grassy ground. I didn't know that, because originally we bought the mum cozy one, and it was the one that was kind of like, it had like aeration in it. I don't know how to describe it. The texture was kind of like had little holes in it, which we thought would be great for summer, and I'd seen a lot of people recommending the mum cozy one, so we bought that. And then it arrived and we realised it said suitable from 3 months onwards, and then we realised that mum cozy do a newborn one, but we didn't get the specific newborn one. We are gonna keep that because it does go up to, I think, like a higher weight, so we're gonna hold on to it for when the baby's a little bit bigger. But in the meantime, we went for a newborn one, and I have to say, guys, little life hack, Vinted. We have got so much on Vinted. There are so many people that sell baby stuff on there for really, really good prices, and I guess like things that people have been gifted, as in like from friends and family, that their baby never wore, or their baby was too big for, or too small for, or they just didn't get around to wearing it, or you know, if somebody bought them something and they had doubles of it. People sell so much on Vinted, and even things that I've got brand new on there. Like, I love a bargain, I can't help it. I've always loved getting a bargain. You know, there's things on there that people had bought to have like a vaginal birth, and then they ended up having a cesarean, and so they didn't need all of like the disposable underwear. So I've got stuff that's like brand new in box off of Vinted, which is amazing. What I was gonna say is we then got a baby carrier. We went for the Ergo Baby newborn carrier, which on Amazon currently is £69, but I found it on Vinted brand new in the box. I think it was £45 compared to 70. Congrats, happy for y'all. Thank you. My sister is just past her first trimester. It's my first time being an aunt. Congratulations. Any advice for later on in pregnancy? Any specific items you liked having? She also would love to know what others are picking for the bigger items like strollers, cribs, etc. Any items that you liked having? Pregnancy pillow, which I linked in my previous vlog. That one for sure has been really, really handy. Also, having some maternity pajamas has been nice, like just something comfy that's not restricting on your waist is really nice to have. A portable fan if it's hot. This is like a little TikTok shop buy, but there's so many on Amazon. I would say like having a big drinks cup that keeps your drink cold, because obviously you get quite thirsty towards the end of pregnancy, and having like a big drinks cup, like a Stanley cup, or it doesn't even have to be a Stanley cup, but you know, something similar. In terms of the bigger items, we got a sofa bed, which was from IKEA. I mean, that's obviously not an essential baby item, it's just for the baby room. The crib that we ended up getting, we have got like a cot bed style crib. It converts from being a cot or a crib, I guess, or whatever you want to call it, for when the baby's a bit bigger. When we first take him home, he's going to be in next to me crib in our bedroom, which we've got the snooze pod for that, which they very, very kindly gifted us, the snooze pod. So we have that, which is to go in the bedroom, but so many people have recommended the snooze pod to us. James's cousin, I think, had the snooze pod, and a lot of people have said that it's great because you can unzip the sides and then actually attach it to your bed, so the baby's literally like right next to you, which is so handy and obviously like gives you peace of mind. Our pram, we spent so long debating of what, like, is it called, do they call it a travel system to get for the baby? We ended up going for the Bugaboo Fox 5. It was very easy to fold down, but something I would massively recommend doing, because we went and did this and it helped so much, is book an appointment at like a baby store that sells everything baby related, like prams and stuff. We did one in John Lewis. It sounds like you're in America maybe, but I'm sure they have stores over there where you can go and actually like test them out. I would say go in, test them out, see how easy they are to steer around corners, see how easy the wheels go, like if it's nice and smooth, see how easily they collapse and if that's easy to take apart and like lift things out, feel how heavy they are. Like go and compare all of them, because people have different preferences. I mean, obviously it's going to be very handy to have a crib that can be converted into a bed. Did I specify that? I think it can go up to 4 years, 3 or 4 years old, and it can be like a converted into a little single bed for later down the line, which is very handy. There's so many like strollers, pushchairs, prams, whatever you want to call it, on the market, but I would say definitely go and try them out in person. But congratulations. Hi, I was actually wondering if you're scared at all about giving birth. Have you done any research about it? I know it's something that terrifies me, so would love to know your feelings about it. I was saying this to Jazz and Talia yesterday. I don't actually feel that scared for birth, and I don't know why. I don't know why that is. I just don't feel that scared. I think because I know that it will be over within like a couple of days, then we'll have our baby. And I'm kind of like, everyone gives birth, like so many people give birth. I'm a little bit nervous, don't get me wrong, and like when I'm kind of like, it could be any time, I'm a bit like, like actually deeping it, like I don't think I'm that nervous for birth. I'm kind of like, you know, whatever happens happens, as long as he's out safely and as long as like we're both okay. I want to try and go into it as relaxed as I possibly can. Yeah, I have done a bit of research about it, mostly what we learned from like the classes and stuff, but there was a lot that I didn't know beforehand going into this. Like I didn't know all the different methods of like intervention and stuff like that. I mean, yeah, it's kind of scary, but I think watching so many different experiences, like for example, like watching Jazz's birth experience, like she had quite a traumatic birth experience, but seeing things like that makes my brain go, okay, well she had this quite a traumatic experience, but she's fine now and like everything was okay. I think seeing different perspectives, like positive and negative, can help to get like a fuller picture of what it can be like and what to expect, so that I don't panic in the moment. And then the final question is, would you consider doing a video after you've given birth and settled, etc., of things they don't tell you about pregnancy and labour? I'm hoping to start trying for a baby at the end of the year, and I'm craving all the information. I'm autistic and feel like I need to be prepared for anything that I can be. Maybe even you and Jazzy can do the video together. It would be so interesting to hear from different people, as everyone's experience is different. You know what, I might potentially do a video about that. There's already a lot of information on the internet. I would say honestly watch some of Jazz's vlogs, because she spoke very openly about that. Well, it sounds like you have watched her vlogs, to be honest. But things I don't tell you about pregnancy and labour, yeah, that could be interesting. There's quite a few of those videos on the internet already. We'll see. And I think those are all of the questions. I need to leave this room because it's bloody boiling. I repowdered my face like 20 minutes ago and I'm already like fully sweating again. Thank you guys so much for asking your questions, first of all. Thank you for watching. If you watched till the end, this is probably a really long video. Like I said, I will speak a bit more about the general like third trimester experience and like other symptoms and stuff and like how I'm feeling and like things for the baby in the nursery in a different vlog, which will either have gone up before this one or after this one. Thank you for watching, and thank you to Tails for sponsoring the first part of this video. You can use my code, which is soph. I will link it down below, and some of the products that I've mentioned I might also link in the description box. So yeah, I think I will leave this there, but I hope you guys are good. If you enjoyed this, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you in my next vlog. Bye. Oh man, it's so warm. By the way, if anyone was wanting a bump update, here it is. It's nearly ready.